He ran from his past, carrying a blessing he had stolen and a burden he couldn't shake. His name was Jacob, the deceiver, and he was on the run from the brother he had wronged. In a distant land, seeking refuge, he found something entirely unexpected at a well. Her name was Rachel. She was beautiful, gentle, and in her eyes he saw a light that seemed to chase away his shadows. Love hit him with a force he'd never known. To win her hand, he made a deal with her father, Laban. 7 years of labor for the right to marry her. For Jacob, those 7 years felt like just a few days. That's what love does, it makes time fly. The anticipation, the dream of a life with Rachel, made every day of hard work feel light. Finally, the wedding day arrived. A grand feast was held, and as night fell, the bride was brought to him, veiled in the darkness. Jacob's heart was full. The long wait was over. But when the sun rose the next morning, his world shattered. The woman beside him was not Rachel. It was Leah, her older, less favored sister. The shock turned to fury. He confronted Laban, who just shrugged and said it was their custom to marry off the older daughter first. The deceiver had been deceived. The man who tricked his own father now knew the bitter taste of betrayal. Laban, ever the opportunist, offered him a new deal. Finish Leah's bridal week, and he could marry Rachel too, for another 7 years of service. Jacob agreed. He had to. He couldn't imagine a life without Rachel, so Jacob found himself with 2 wives, but having both meant peace for neither. His household became a battleground of silent heartbreak. He loved Rachel deeply, but she was barren, a source of constant shame and sorrow in that time. Leah, though fertile, was unloved. She bore Jacob's son after son, each time hoping this child would finally win her husband's affection. But his heart remained with Rachel. The tension, the rivalry, the quiet desperation filled their home. Outwardly, Jacob's flocks and herds grew. He became a wealthy man. But inside, he was still restless, still running from his past, his life a tangled web of his own making. After 20 years, God told him it was time. Time to go home. But home meant facing Esau, the brother whose blessing he had stolen 2 decades earlier. Fear gripped him. Would Esau still want revenge? Jacob sent gifts ahead, hoping to appease his brother. He sent his wives, his children, and all his servants across the river Jabbok, until he was completely alone on the riverbank, under the vast, dark sky. It was the night before he would face his past, and in that darkness a figure appeared. A man. They didn't speak. They wrestled. It was a fierce, silent, and unrelenting struggle that lasted the entire night. Jacob, desperate and determined, refused to give up. He held on with all his might. Even when his opponent struck his hip, dislocating it and sending a shock of pain through his body. He was wounded, but he would not let go. As dawn began to break, the stranger said, "Let me go, for the day is breaking." But Jacob, clinging on through the pain, gasped, "I will not let you go unless you bless me." The man then asked him a simple question. "What is your name?" And Jacob had to speak it, the name that defined his life of struggle and deceit. "Jacob," he answered. Then the man spoke words that would echo through eternity. "Your name will no longer be Jacob, but Israel. For you have struggled with God and with men and have overcome." In that moment, Jacob received his blessing, but he walked away from that encounter with a limp. The struggle had left a permanent mark on him. He had faced God and survived, but not unchanged. The next day, when he finally met Esau, he was a different man. He wasn't the cunning trickster relying on his own cleverness. He was Israel, a man humbled, broken, and dependent on God's grace. He bowed before his brother, not in a ploy, but in genuine humility. And in one of history's most beautiful moments of reconciliation, Esau ran to him, embraced him, and they wept together. Jacob's story reminds us that our choices have lasting consequences. It shows us that love can be messy and complicated. But most of all, it teaches us that sometimes God meets us in our darkest, most desperate night. He wrestles with us, not to destroy us, but to remake us. And often, the greatest blessings come with a limp, a permanent reminder of the struggle that changed us forever. Thanks for watching. If this story resonated with you, consider subscribing for more content just like this.